Hello everyone out there, welcome to a new edition of Radio Free Decipher. I've got Kyle with me as usual, though not in exactly good health.
This is a new edition, huh?
Yeah.
As opposed to a rerun? Have we ever done a rerun?
As opposed to Menudo? I don't know. And joining us today is Kendrick Summers. How are you?
Good afternoon, guys.
As promised last week,
That's right.
Kendrick was coming on with Lord of the Rings goodness.
I am coming on with Lord of the Rings goodness.
Of course, there's also going to be a lot of questions that people are having about Star Trek invitation / announcement.
Yeah, you've been keeping up pretty good with that, haven't you?
Trying to. There's a lot of very good things being said. So
you're going to address some concerns and some questions?
I'm going to do that
have?
after we finish with the card spoilage.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have a card spoilage now?
That's what I hear.
Card spoilage. Wow. All right. So the information went up today that there is a Saruman preview card coming.
Saruman. That's so nice.
Yeah, he's going to be a big boy in the realms of the Elf Lords. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Say the word and I'll spoil away. Well, first of all, before we spoil, why don't you tell us a little bit about how people are going to be able to get this card? Okay. Saruman, Servant of the Eye.
Nice. Okay.
Is going to be a preview card for Realms of the Elf Lords. We're
Similar
going
to the way the Balrog
absolutely
was.
Yep, with the card glued onto a flyer that gives you a kind of a visual of Realms of the Elf Lords. It's not like super glued. It's like a little boogery glue. Yeah,
same way
it doesn't damage the card. Right? I just didn't want to say booger on RFD. That's all right. That one's not censored by the FCC. There you go. Yes, it will be booger glued into a flyer, and in all magazines or just? Well, I've got a list
every
here.
Every magazine, Time magazine will have
every magazine.
No.
I've got a list here of magazines where we're going to be inserting, and I actually have a couple of magazines that have translated the Saruman card for their international mags, which is really cool. So
that is nice.
Yep, we'll just run down the list of where you're going to be able to get Saruman, Servant of the Eye, and then we'll go into all the details.
Okay.
It's going to be available in Codex, which is a Swedish gaming magazine.
Okay.
And look for issue number 16, which should hit the store shelves on May 28th. Scry Magazine, of course, is a U.S. and UK publication. That'll be issue number 52, which is the June issue. It should be out in early June. Inquest Gamer, of course, U.S. publication, issue number 87. That's the June 5th issue.
Okay.
These are all street dates, by the way, of when you can find it. And they may indeed be the month following, but that's the day you'll find them in the stores. Starlog is a UK magazine. It's not specifically a gaming magazine, but it does have a sci-fi and fantasy kind of bent to it. And they want the preview card. And they want the preview goodness. So in the UK, you pick up a copy of Starlog, you're all set. And it's issue number 27, June 6th.
Not the American version of Starlog.
Yep.
Okay.
Gamers Sideboard is a Southeastern Asian magazine.
Okay.
And you can find the Saruman card in that magazine, and I believe that's going to be a mid-June issue. I don't remember exactly what number that issue is, but it's the upcoming issue.
Okay.
The next three are going to have the Saruman promo translated as well as the flyer translated, so you're going to find this in your respective languages.
Okay.
The first one is Oracolo, and that's an Italian magazine. So it'll be it will be the Italian version of Saruman, Servant of the Eye. That's issue number 55-56, and that'll be on shelves May 30th.
Okay.
Cartifact is a German magazine. It's a long-time gaming magazine. They'll have the German edition of Saruman, Servant of the Eye. That's issue number 38, hitting the shelves June 14th. And then bringing up the rear is Lotus Noir. So all of our French Lord of the Rings gamers out there are going to have their own French version of it. And unfortunately, I don't have the details on that one, but that is a June issue as well. So look for that to hit the shelves in a couple of months. Okay. So here we go.
All right, the text.
Yep.
Now it's also important to note. I'm sorry, I keep delaying the inevitable of this.
Well, you know
but it's also important to note that this is the promo is the common card from the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not the rare.
I was getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
All right, so Saruman, Servant of the Eye is the common version of the Saruman card.
There will be a
rare version coming in Realms of the Elf Lords that has cool new unique game text of his own, but we're not going to spoil that today.
Well, but as you saw in Mighty Moria with the Balrog, both versions of the Balrog are pretty good for different purposes.
Indeed.
Same thing with this one.
Yep, absolutely. Use your own judgment, but we are looking forward to getting playtest copies of this card ASAP for our Lord of the Rings house. Saruman, Servant of the Eye, of course, is an Isengard culture card.
Okay.
His Twilight cost is 4.
Okay.
He's got a power of a strength of 8 and a vitality of 4, and he is
Sight 4.
He's a Sight 4 minion.
Okay.
Minion.wizard.
Okay.
So there you go. Draw conclusions about that in the future of the game. And the game text is Saruman may not take wounds during the archery phase and may not be assigned to a skirmish.
That's the first part.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about that one, and that certainly is going to develop over the coming months and years. However,
so in short, he basically just doesn't participate in archery or skirmishing.
That's correct.
Okay.
Wait, read that again. Read that again for me.
Saruman may not take wounds during the archery phase and may not be assigned to a skirmish.
Okay.
May not be assigned to a skirmish. Mm-hmm. So even as the shadow player, you cannot assign him.
Yeah,
right.
Well, you never would unless there was a card that allowed you to assign a move.
Okay. So why would you play him?
Well, here you go. Bold-faced. Assignment, : exert Sarman to assign an Isengard minion to a companion, except the Ringbearer. That companion may exert to prevent this. So, Sarman basically has his minions at his disposal. With a 4 vitality, he's assigning big, nasty Uruk-hai to unsuspecting companions.
Okay.
So
you call him up there, and he doesn't participate in the fight, but he does get to call shots for the other Isengard.
That's right. And for those of you out there playing the tech, basically exert Sarman to exert a companion is how you can look at that. However, it's an undeniable ability, so it's good stuff, and it's only going to get better as we move forward because there are tons of Isengard cards in Realms of the Elf.
Wow, that's really good even now. Like with Lurtz and Lurtz's Battlecry, I'll assign them to whoever I want, and then Lurtz's Battlecry and your Toast, and wow, that's really strong.
Oh yeah, Sarman is going to see a lot of action. He'll play a big part in metagame, and Isengard is only going to get tougher and tougher as we move forward. So.
He's Vitality 4, so he can do that 3 times.
That's right.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
All right.
Yeah, good. So thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Enjoy that
thank
out there,
you.
everybody.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
thanks again
really
for that,
good.
Kendrick.
Yeah.
That card is so cool. I remember doing just about all of my Realms of the Elf Lords decks when I play tested that weekend for Isengard.
Really?
Because that was just way too much fun.
I was trying some other stuff that weekend, but I remember it being really fun. Yeah. Like, watching the other people playing and going, oh my lord. So, good stuff. Good stuff.
Okay.
All right.
So
moving along. Let's talk some
Star
Trek.
Trek. As I'm sure everybody out there who is a fan of Star Trek knows by now, on Wednesday we posted a Star Trek announcement, invitation, and really it is that. We are in the process, as you will see from Warren's letter and Tim's letter, that we are considering production of a new Star Trek game. And the reasons are fairly well outlined in the message, but it comes down to this. We are exploring ways to increase the player base. The fans of Star Trek will tell you, as the game has continued on, it's more and more difficult to get a new player to give the game a fair shake. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that you have opponents out there. And one of the options we're now considering is a new game.
I mean, we've been hearing it for a while. There are lots and lots of people out there that love Star Trek, but the barriers right now to enter the game are not impossible, but they're daunting.
Well, I've made a number of posts about this on the BBS, and actually that's the first question I'd like to answer. There are some people asking on there, are you guys really reading all of this? And the answer is yes, and that's why we really appreciate there's a lot of very thoughtful commentary on there. There's a fair amount of ranting and raving, but not even that has been unreasonable. There have been, it's genuine emotion and not unfair. This is kind of a big deal, and this is why we wanted to get all of the players involved in this process. This is really kind of unprecedented. We're not. I mean, we're basically involving everyone at near ground one, step one of designing a new game. In the coming weeks, there will be demo decks of this new game system up on the website. Those will probably be hitting by the end of May, but not for a couple of weeks, so don't eagerly wait for those. The first look at the new game is going to be the player representative, the product champion representative, the retailer, and the distributor representative that will be the winners of the contest will be brought in-house here to see the game for the very first time anywhere. In the meantime, if you think you might be interested in playtesting this system, if indeed it goes forward, you'll want to fill out that application. So,
now, what does that mean? What are they going to come here and do, those 4 people?
They're going to come here and kind of get a little bit of the star treatment. We'll essentially sit them down and they will get a personal demo from us, the designers. It is looking to be a multiplayer system at this time. You'll notice that one of the questions on the survey asked how important to you is multiplayer in a potential Star Trek game, and the answer to that has pretty emphatically stated that people want multiplayer as an option. Even if they're not always going to play it multiplayer, they want it there. And that's similar to the way Lord of the Rings was constructed. And so we are going that route again for Star Trek. So we are hoping to have those 4 representatives come out and play a 4-player game as a group.
And single games? I mean, it's not going to be just one game.
No, it's not going to be one game and out. You will get to kind of sample these decks. They will, in all likelihood, be the same decks that will then go up in PDF form on the website.
Okay. So there won't be constructing of decks or anything like that?
No, because there is a lot involved in...
that would be a all-weekend type of situation if they were to actually get in and build their own decks. Well, they'd have to look at the pool of cards.
Yeah, it's interesting. This open playtesting is a pretty new experience for all of us. I mean, there's only so far we can throw open the doors, but we're going to try and do as much as we can to that end. And the reason for that is our ways of conduct are just bizarre. I mean, I don't know quite how to put it, but playtesting, it's not in a perfect polished form at every step of the way. Like, for example, today we changed 2 or 3 terms in the engine that we're looking on, but we're not going to systematically go back through everything that we've done so far and apply that change because it may change 2 more times. So as a result, a playtester really has to get accustomed to these big shifts on the fly, and it's a different mindset. People are used to coming to our website and they see a card and it's in completed, finished form, and it's not going to be that way this time around. You're coming in at a very primordial stage of the process when you see these PDFs, and need to look on it that way when that arrives.
Oftentimes, I've seen playtesters just scribble down on a piece of paper what a card is and throw it in a sleeve and shuffle it into a deck. So yeah, it's definitely early on.
Yeah, so I guess I'll quickly try and address the points that seem to come up most on the BBS, and on the off chance that you have not seen the responses there. One is, what does this mean for the existing Star Trek game? And the answer to that is there really has been no decision made at this point. As Warren said, we are considering the option of a new game. Regardless of whether that goes forward or not, that doesn't spell any particular outcome for the existing game. In fact, Tim has stated, and Warren has backed this up, that we do intend that there be some continued cards for the existing Trek game, regardless of the outcome. And I can't really tell you what that means. Does that mean a reflection set? Does that mean continued expansions on a regular basis? Does that mean a wrap-up set? Does that mean Fajo collections, OTSs? I don't know what that really means.
Right. It could mean the same as what it is now.
Exactly. It could be unchanged. Right. The old game and how to address that is really not a part of the discussion at this stage in time, but we do have a commitment to, we have an obvious commitment to Star Trek or we wouldn't be considering this, and that commitment extends in particular to fans of the existing Star Trek game.
Sure.
We're well aware of the dozens of broken links and such that are still out there.
I think the issue at hand then is, let's talk about this new game.
Let's talk about a new game. This is, if you play the existing game, then you've undoubtedly encountered the difficulties of trying to get a new player to learn. And this is an opportunity to get in there and say, well, what have been those difficulties? Why can't you get somebody to pick up the game? What could we do that would make that easier? And it's really, and this leads to the second question, is why don't you just revamp the old game? And the answer to that is we really have tried to do that. Warp Speed format for Voyager was an effort to simplify the basic rules. Over the past 2 or 3 years, while Kathy McCracken and I have been in the rules guru job, alternating every month when the current rulings has come around, we've tried to streamline 1 or 2 major entries. We've written cards like Cybernetics Expertise and White Deprivation that have tried to just eliminate rules from the glossary entirely and trying to whittle away that massive rules burden. And it's really a drop in the bucket. It's kind of, to use an analogy, it's like trying to change the tires on your car while you're driving at 50 miles an hour. This game is a car that's cruising along at 50 miles an hour, and it's even worse than that. It's like trying to change the engine. You know, there's only so much we can do. We can replace a fender. We could maybe paint the car. We might even get lucky and be able to change the windshield, but there are limits to what you can do as this car continues on in motion. And then even beyond that, to continue this silly analogy, Star Trek CCG is a 1994 model car, and if you are someone out there considering buying a new car, are you going to look at a 1994 car? You want something that's 2002. You want something that's current, modern, stylish, and all that. And it's not to say that the 94 isn't a reliable car. I was
going to say my 94 Nissan Sentra.
There you go.
It's hanging in there.
Yeah, and it's a real testament to, nobody is suggesting that the existing Star Trek game is all bad. It's clearly not true, or it would not have survived to where it is. And the fact that we have so many dedicated fans of it is a testament. It's a good game, but we think we can make a better game that will have more success in getting a larger player base. And that's really what it's all about. Is you've seen the dwindling numbers, you've seen how hard it is to get an opponent, you know your frustration in what it takes to build a new deck. I know I have a very hard time building decks myself now because there's so much you have to take into account. That deck building is a hours, if not day-long process. So we want to address these.
And we absolutely have a commitment to giving people players to play against.
Yes.
And that's what this is about.
Yes.
We want to get the most amount of Star Trek players out there.
So, we've tried to make as many changes along the way to the existing game, and we feel that there are just too many limitations. The alternative would be to begin cutting deeper into revising the old game than we have before, and then cards will start to not do what they say they do. Because, for example, one of the things that's really confusing in the existing game is dilemma resolution. Mm-hmm. Well, part of it is, to give one example of what makes dilemma resolution difficult is people don't understand the difference between a trigger, a target, a condition. What if there were some way that we could combine all those things into one thing to streamline it? Well, then you'd have these existing dilemmas that were written thinking of triggers and targets and conditions separately, and suddenly it would all work one thing. And little by little, dozens and dozens of cards at a time would start to not do what they say they do. And then how do you deal with issues like side decks that are confusing, or sites on stations? Do you remove those entirely and ban cards? And then you streamline the rules, but all you've done is frustrate old players who can't use the cards the way that they're used to using them. You frustrate everybody, new and old players, with a big ban list or a big errata list they've got to get through, and that solution has problems as well. So those are still solutions we've considered in-house, and now we'd like to try this one. And this is why we want to get you all involved in the process at this point, because you're entitled, as fans of our existing Star Trek game and as our most stalwart supporters here at Decipher, you are entitled to have a say in what you would like to see in Star Trek. So that's
awesome.
what this is about.
I think that's pretty impressive.
It is pretty unique, and we are going to do our best to keep these lines of communication as open as possible. Just kind of as a closer, I want to say we are going to try and stay involved on the BBS as much as possible. Do know that the things that you write are being read. If we don't respond to them, it's not that we haven't read them, it's that we are busily trying to prepare to get these demo decks ready for you to see within a couple of weeks. So our efforts are going there and may not necessarily go to a blow-by-blow response to every message we get. But we will be tabulating the surveys, we will be reading the BBSs, we will be going over the playtest applications and all that. So,
well, it's been less than 2 days so far. Any idea of or a guesstimate on how many surveys we've had returned at this point?
We're brushing up against 1,000.
Wow.
So, and no end in sight, really. People have a lot to say. And not just Star Trek fans. In fact, we've seen some posts that are from Star Wars CCG fans kind of coming out of the woodwork that say, you know, I'm sorry that went, and now I'm looking for something new to get into, and the idea of a new Star Trek game is really exciting to them as well. Which, you know, it really speaks to the fact that sci-fi is a very large niche, and there's not any one game in the market right now that's clearly filling that niche. So there are other people besides Star Trek fans that kind of have a stake in this as well. So I hope that this has helped somewhat, but if you've got specific questions or comments you want to make, you can fill out the you can fill out the survey. You can post on the BBS.
And there is a playtest form up there.
There is, yeah. If you want to get involved, fill that out. We are going to be reviewing those and making selections in the near future.
I saw Eric John Fano in there on the message board
2000
yesterday
world
saying
champion.
that he was excited about the possibilities and looking to fill out a playtester form. So. Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. Stay tuned. As I said, by the end of the month, we hope to have those PDF decks online, and let us know what you think.
Have a great weekend.
Take care.